trying my best to make sense of nonsense in this popular God of Gamblers came parody, starring Stephen Chow. Introducing the other Chow man I grew up on, Mr. Stephen Chow, the king of 90s HK comedy. While Chow Yun-fat was a benchmark of cool badassery and charm, Stephen Chow was a lesson in word-twisting, gut-busting absurdity. Canto humor is already hard to translate. His particular brand of Canto humor, Mole Tao Mali To, which basically means makes no sense, is, as its name plainly states, even harder. Its mix of lewd, crude, and witty is very specific to Hong Kong culture and reliant on Cantonese wordplay. In terms of North American counterparts, it reminds me of David Wayne's brand of smart stupidity and deadpan delivery, for example, Wet Hot American Summer. But what about Shaolin Soccer? Shaolin Zucho. Kung Fu Hustle, Kung Fu Western audiences love those. Yeah, but a large part of the comedy was physical and visual rather than verbal, which isn't bad, but it's not Mole Tao in all its glory. All for the Winner, Ko Sheng, was a breakout film for Chow, a parody of God of Gamblers, Ko Shen. I don't get why the English title isn't Saint of Gamblers. Anyway, he didn't write it. Jeffrey Lau, Lu Chenwei, the co-director, got the screenplay credit, which makes me wonder about the other people who contributed to Mole Tao. Along with Lau, a couple other writers I see pop up frequently in Chow's movies are Li Like Chi and Vincent Koch, SFU Communication alum, by the way. My limited Cantonese and the lack of English-written articles, English subtitled YouTube interviews, podcasts, make it hard for me to dive deeper into this. Not to say I haven't tried, guys. Koch was on an episode of 24 Herbs, 20 Seaways 24/7 Talk, and I listened to all 94 minutes of it, but I had to pause every 8 seconds to repeat phrases into Pleco to translate. Lol. I didn't learn much about Mole Tao, but he shared some great insights on being a director, and now I hope to decorate the walls in my home with personally written words of wisdom from my mentors and idols someday like he does. Oh, and his story about him and Stephen Chow meeting Tarantino was a fun anecdote, too. A man discovers that his dumb, lovable nephew can see through objects and decides to unleash him into the world of gambling. But not only can Chow Sing Cho, Ah Sing, played by Stephen Chow Jo-Shing Chi, see through objects, he can also change playing cards by rubbing them, a technique that I would often try employing when playing Big 2, Joe Dai. At Recess 2, no surprise, no avail. Changing stuff renders him powerless for 2 to 4 weeks, though, so he taps into that ability sparingly. Ung Man Tat, Wumong Da, is the man who plays his uncle, or Blackie Tat, as the subtitles name him because in Canto, it's Hei Zai Da, which is a literal translation where Hei Zai is black young man and Da is Tat, his given name. Except Hei Zai is slang for an unlucky person, so really it should be Unlucky Tat. But I'm just going to call him Uncle Tat, because I don't think Blackie works in this climate. And I cannot confirm if Hei Zai as unlucky is inspired by skin color, but I cannot deny the possibility either. So, Uncle Tat it is. Another thing that doesn't work in this climate? The rape jokes. Uncle Tat has some congenital disorder that makes him lose all control when Ah Sing calls him uncle. But he retains no memory of what he's done. This sets up many moments of Uncle Tat dry humping people around him, including one where his friend, Look, played by Lo Yuan-yan, who has a crush on him, actually tries to get close to him so she can get humped. Ah sings from the mainland, so he's a bit of a bumpkin. When his uncle admonishes him about his perm looking like a wig, Ah Sing sheepishly says he thought it was fashionable. He also doesn't know or care much about gambling. But Uncle Tat does. He drags him to a gambling den where they clean house, angering the other gamblers and the guys who run the place. This leads to a fight in the alley. Uncle Tat gets knocked out, but Ah Sing gets to kick ass. Uncle Tat comes to and scolds his nephew for risking a head injury and putting his superpowers at risk by fighting back. As his uncle, he should be the one protecting him. So if this ever happens again, the first thing Ah Sing should do is run. Catching sight of a second wave of angry men over his uncle's shoulder, Ah Sing nods and runs away. He nearly gets hit by an oncoming convertible, but thanks to some quick thinking, he dives into the back just as it speeds off. The woman behind the wheel is Yi Meng, played by Charlotte Chung, who also played Janet, the wife of God of Gamblers. Yi Meng is a pleasant and romantic dream. Wiki says it's a euphemism for wet dream, but I couldn't find anything legit online to back that up. Good old Plico tells me Mongwai is wet dream in Canto, but in Mando it's pronounced Meng Yi, which is very close to Yi Mong, so maybe. I am spending a lot of time trying to figure out a maybe dick joke. This is my brain. For better or for worse, it can't move on until things make sense. Yi Mong is also trying to get away, but she runs out of gas and the men who are after her come out of their cars with their pipes, meat cleavers, and machetes in hand. Rutro. Looks like a triad. Ah Sing asks why they're after her. She confesses she killed their boss. He tries to reason with them, explaining how he understands their anger. When he was 3, he lost his older brother too. Ha! Because boss and big brother are both die low. The men have no time for his nonsense. Literally, no lay tao. Yi Mong responds with a flying dropkick. I wish I had that response at the ready. And a fight ensues. Eager to jump in and help, Ah Sing winds up to unleash his inner Bruce Lee again. But badass Billy, played by Wan Young Ming, beats him to the punch. As Billy and Yi Mong continue kicking ass, Ah Sing tries to get her attention and prove his valiance. With the men defeated, Billy grabs Yi Mong's hand and they take off on his bike. She waves goodbye, and, in the most bizarre bit of this entire movie, Ah Sing is completely captivated by the mole in her armpit. Uncle Tat and Ah Sing receive an invitation to meet with Hung Kwang. Hung, played by Paul Chun-Chin Ten, a prominent gangster who's also known as the King of Gamblers. But with his powers in sleep mode after having changed the number on a horse racing ticket for Luke to help pay for her daughter's surgery, Ah Sing doesn't think there's a point. Uncle Tat says no problem. All that matters is he look the part. He demonstrates some fancy card shuffling tricks for Ah Sing to show off, pulls out a suit, and dubs him Do Sing, the saint of gamblers. Ah Sing's like, and which Sing do you mean? Like, how would I spell my surname? Because saint and surname are homonyms. Uncle Tat retorts, Sing Bing Sing, which is STD, with Shing being another homonym. Ha. Sorry, English speakers. I really am just translating for my own knowledge and pleasure here, but Jesus Christ. Cantonese is a ridiculous language, and the way Chow and his cohorts wield it in their movies is inspiring. Anyway, Uncle Tat suggests Ah Sing take cues from the god of gamblers. He hands him a trench coat, Mark Gor Lao. CUET is an influence on so many levels. And tries to get him to put on hair wax, which Ah Sing refuses. With his Luke locked down, Tat expresses the importance of posture and plays him a video of the god of gamblers, making his entrance. At the meeting, Ah Sing struggles to keep appearances as Hung insists on seeing him gamble. Without his powers, he loses fast and quick. But then, Yi Mong, who turns out to be Hung's henchwoman, appears, and his powers are instantly restored. He wastes no time in showing off his abilities. And dance moves. Hung's rival Chan Chung, played by Jeffrey Lau, yep, the writer and co-director, finds out about Ah Sing's supernatural abilities too and wants to pay him a whole lot of money to represent Taiwan at the International King of Gamblers tournament. This pisses Hung off as he wanted the boy on his team. So he sends Billy, Yi Mong, and his men to Chan's place in the only way a Hung gangster knows how, in over-the-top, guns-blazing John Woo style. Chan, Ah Sing, and Uncle Tat end up completely cornered by the ambush. It also doesn't help that Chan's men are dressed in white. But then, turns out, Yi Mong is actually Chan's henchwoman. As they escape, Yi Mong runs into Billy and shoots him in the leg to stop him from going after them. Chan orders her to finish him off, but she insists on sparing him for saving her in the past. Got to have a code. And then they make it to regionals. The International King of Gamblers tournament. Ah Sing moves through the early rounds easily and spends all his spare time with Yi Mong trying to win over, but when she gets kidnapped by Hung's men, he stops showing up to his matches. Without Yi Mong, he's miserable and powerless. Uncle Tat decides Ah Sing just needs a new muse and suggests their friend, Ping, played by Sandra Ing. It works. But not in the way any of them would have expected. Just like Yi Mong, Ping's got a mole under her armpit. But it's not enough they share that in common. Oh no. Instead, Ah Sing becomes convinced that the mole is Yi Mong. Ping, after Uncle Tat promises a share of the winnings, agrees to go along with the insanity. They even go to the beach for some sun. I know, it's ludicrous. I'm amazed, confused, and weirded out by it all at once. Thankfully, the bit stays G-rated and we go back to gambling and Ah Sing winning with his powers restored. He advances to the finals to face Hung. But on the night before the big match, they return to their flat and find Ping's boyfriend, Xing, played by Corey Yuen, also the co-director. Look at these guys doing everything, packing up. He can't keep watching Ping parade around with her armpit for money. He criticizes Uncle Tat for using his nephew as some kind of golden egg-laying goose, and Ah Sing for using his powers to get girls and money instead of helping the less fortunate. Ouch. True dat, double true. Uncle Tat goes to Ah Sing's bedroom later to apologize. He admits he let his poor upbringing and desire for financial security for the both of them blind him. Unfortunately, his nephew isn't there to hear any of it, as he finds a note from Ah Sing, informing him he's decided to return to China to avoid causing any more trouble, but he hopes his uncle will come visit. Aw, what? Guys, this movie has been so goofy and outrageous that I didn't even think about the emotional stakes. I was fine with just jokes. And here they go, inserting some heart into it all. Ping and Xing rush out to find Ah Sing, while Uncle Tat must deal with Chan. Despite the fact that Ah Sing's letter says he's going back to China, no one checks the train station. Instead, they follow a guy who Ping recognizes as one of Hung's men to see if Ah Sing's been captured and discover the hideout where Yi Mong is being kept. They decide to help break her out in hopes that Chan will forgive whatever debt Uncle Tat owes. By the way, it's total bullshit that Chan hasn't even tried to find Yi Mong since she disappeared, especially since he raised her after her parents died when she was small. As they make their escape, they run into Billy, who offers to drive them. Okay, I know he's not as lovable as Ah Sing, but Billy actually seems like the better match. He doesn't put her on a pedestal. And well, I don't imagine he'd mistake a mole for Yi Mong, or even settle for that. Meanwhile, at the tournament, Chan tries to stall for time, but makes it clear to Uncle Tat that if Ah Sing fails to show, he's getting snipped. What is it about castration as a go-to threat in HCOM movies? As the clock winds down, Hung grows more and more smug. They're about to declare him as the winner by default. Hung walks up to Ah Sing to shake his hand. But really, it's to hand him Yi Mong's earring in an attempt to strip his confidence and, more importantly, powers. It works. Realizing he can't win on skill, Ah Sing bets on luck. With only 15 minutes left in the game, Hung has no choice but to finally give in. He ends up holding a flush. Ah Sing, holding 3 aces, needs a 4th to win. He draws a 3 of spades. Oh no. So close, yet so far away. In a last-ditch effort, he squishes the card between his palms and rubs with all his might. But then... yeah, this is it. No. Hung, smug AF, flips over his final card for the win. Das right. He ended up changing Hung's card instead. Hooray! Everyone is thrilled, except for Hung, of course, who ends up being dragged away by security. Ah Sing finds Xing in the crowd and tells him he was right, and from now on, he'll only use his powers to help people in need. He then turns to Yi Mong and thanks her for spending time with him, but he knows it was just business for her and that they're from 2 different worlds. She agrees. He's a world-class gambler now, and she's just an ordinary girl. But she hopes he'll give her one last chance to have dinner together. Ah Sing chuckles as they perform the ancient ritual of shaking hands, then immediately asks when, where, what should he wear, and what kind of food. The end. And that, my friends, if our first look at Stephen Chow and Mole Tao. Looking forward to seeing how both evolve and whether or not my canto and understanding of the verbal jokes gets better. I gotta admit, I was surprised by that final card reveal. LOL. Now, can we just get Ah Sing to rub 2020 and make everything better?
Ah!